Daniel. How
What
are you?
happens when you invite old people on the internet?
If it helps, and literally everyone has had that problem, I think, so far.
Excellent. Good stuff. How you doing, all
Um,
right?
good. Yes. How are you?
Good. I'm going to be a proper film and TV person and just make sure I'm lit properly. There you go.
Oh, yes. No, I have to say, beautiful lighting, very aesthetic, fantastic. This
Good.
is what happens when you are a creative person, guys. So, am I right in thinking that you have a presentation?
Well, I'm not showing any pictures or videos because in my experience, they always fail and are a bit jittery. So I'm just going to talk for a bit
Great.
and
Yeah.
you
And then we'll
can
ask you a couple of
ask
questions.
me stuff.
Great. Okay. Well, Daniel, on you go.
Cool. Good to see you all. So I'm Daniel Warren and I'm Deputy Head of Creative at People's Postcode Lottery. On my LinkedIn, it says I'm an accomplished and versatile director known for inventive solutions and creative editing for national broadcasters, respected advertising agencies, and independent production companies, which all sounds very grown up. But I'm also a filmmaker and I've collaborated with artists, musicians, choreographers, poets, and theatre makers to produce moving image works, which are broadcast and screened at festivals and in galleries across Europe and the USA, but not so much of that type of work lately over the last few years because I've had this full-time role in-house at People's Postcode Lottery, and that's kept me very, very busy, which is a good thing for me. So People's Postcode Lottery, I can't believe you don't know who we are because we seem to be everywhere at the moment. But for those of you who don't know, we're a subscription-based lottery, started in 2005, and we raise money for charities and good causes, and our players win big cash prizes all year round. Um, Over 450 people work here in Edinburgh. I'm in my house just now, but 10 minutes that way is our office in the centre of Edinburgh. And with this session being called Creative Jobs Where You Least Expect, I certainly didn't expect there to be so many creative jobs in a lottery. Um, so when I first started working here, that was quite a surprise. This weekend, yesterday, saw the launch of our biggest campaign of the year for our December draws. And most of this work was ideated and created right here by our creative team. Within a busy marketing department, my creative team is 15 people, and that includes videographers, editors, digital and print designers. We work closely with our organic and paid social teams, content creators, trusted pool of freelance talent, some of whom I've been working with for 20, 25 years with previous in-house roles and when I was a freelancer as well. Every week, our team are out filming winners or charities, big and small, crafting our good news stories in the edit for use across many, many different platforms. A lot of people that I work with at Postcode Lottery have industry experience. They've been broadcast editors for the BBC, working on things like Limmy Show and other comedy shows. They're commercial producers, artists, and recently one of our editors, Laura Carrera, developed her first feature film while working full time with us. The film's called On Falling, and we're all very proud. Our media spend this year will be over 65 million pounds, which a lot of people are quite surprised at. But yeah, that's a big deal. It's a lot of money. Um, Alongside external PR and advertising agencies, we work from concept to production on our big campaigns, including making things like TV commercials, cinema ads, big print billboards, and other at home like Piccadilly Circus, those big advertising hoardings. We create that, and that'll go live in a couple of weeks, which is always quite exciting. And there's socials, comms, there's a lot to think about. Um, this session was called Creative Jobs Where You Least Expect Them, and that made me think about my first role at Scottish TV. Um, that was my first proper job after I graduated. I went to art college here and studied graphic design at Edinburgh College of Art. And that was very exciting being in a TV studio with things being made still in studios. And there was a news department and they were making TV commercials. And that's really where I learnt my craft. And I was doing all kinds of things. I was designing title sequences for TV programs. I was helping making graphics for TV commercials. when someone fell off a mountain in the Scottish Highlands, I'd make a map and put a big cross on it for the news. So yeah, it was quite a range of stuff. But I also got to sit and watch experienced designers and directors and producers and editors go about their work. And some of them had been there for 20, 30 years and they were editing big dramas. And there's nothing like people watching to learn and think about maybe what you want to do next, or maybe how you can develop, and you can talk to them and ask questions. And what was also good at Scottish TV was that they had a lot of edit suites and camera kit lying around. So evenings and weekends, I didn't go home. I stayed there and learned how to use all the kit and the lights and the cameras and the edit suites. And I made all my uh, own short films, and I made music videos for local bands. And yeah, I made some awful films, um, some of which are on a hard drive somewhere that no one will ever see. But I got better and better at editing, better and better at learning how to tell a story, how to frame a shot. And eventually, I was thinking, well, maybe this is something I should do. And I started doing less and less graphic design and more live action directing. And then every now and again at Scottish TV, there'd be a big project. They'd rebrand the station, or there'd be a commercial for a big brand. But instead of asking the people in-house, they would ask an advertising agency, and they would get a freelance director. And I'd be like, well, hold on, I'm doing all the dirty work here. Surely you should be asking me and my gang of people who are full-time, who are in-house. Why are you asking these guys? They've got nice trainers. They've got nice glasses. I want to do that. They're getting paid loads. They look really happy. So after a few years, I decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to go freelance. And it was exciting, but it was also quite scary because I've been quite used to having a group of experienced people around me. So when there was something I didn't know how to do, or something where I'd bitten off too much, more than I could chew, I knew that I could fall back on those experienced people and they would help me out. But suddenly when I was freelance, I didn't have that. But you find your way through. And I went back to Scottish TV to do some directing work there. And I had my nice new trainers on and my nice jacket and my media glasses. But when I went in, I was like, oh, I remember this. This is quite good being in-house because they're getting paid holidays, and when they're sick, they get looked after, and they don't have to buy their own camera equipment. In-house was quite good, wasn't it? So creative jobs where you least expect. There's a lot of really good roles in big businesses, not just TV studios, but I would, if you ever get the chance, try both. Working in-house is a great experience because you really learn how a business works and what they really need. But if you're doing that, I would also try going freelance for a couple of years to try and understand how other people see you, how other people see the business, and other businesses as well. And you can kind of try other skills. But also if you go freelance, I would say try working in-house as well. Because one of my main mantras is that you shouldn't be asking people to do things that you wouldn't do yourself. I think when you're in-house, you've got to see everyone the next day, the next week. You've got to help them, they've got to help you. And that's a really good thing, a good thing to do. So back at Postcode Lottery, after about 12 years freelancing, I kind of felt that maybe that always having to find work, be doing work and chasing work, Postcode Lottery with a freelance. I worked with them as a freelancer, and they were the most fun, and I was enjoying myself most with them. So when they asked me to come on board and be full time, I thought, yeah, this could be quite good fun. But I could enter it with a freelance mentality, and hopefully I bring that to the people I work with. I'm doing less filmmaking, less directing now, and as a kind of creative lead, I'm putting the right people in the right place at the right time. But hopefully bringing that the excitement of being freelancer, every job you get is like you've won the job, and you're looking at what you can do differently, what the new things that are happening, how can we work together and help each other out like you would as a freelancer. But yeah, I would try them both. That's me wittering on for about 8 minutes now. So yeah, any questions? Over to you.
Well, I have a couple of
It's
questions.
really weird sitting in this room. It feels like you're talking to yourself.
I know, yeah. Well, there are lots of people watching. We've had a couple of people message us saying that they are watching. One school has 100 people watching this right now, so you are
Wow. Okay.
broadcasting too many.
Excellent.
But I imagine you're used to that because of your TV background. Okay, just to recap, because that is a wild journey, and I think there's so many interesting kind of combinations of different media in what you're doing in different ways of working in media. So you were graphic design in TV to begin with, which I think is also
Yeah, so I left school. I did my A levels. I didn't do brilliantly, but I did enough to do a foundation course.
yeah,
And I think that was probably the best year of my life because I could draw a bit and I really liked art. But that year of trying everything, of trying fine art and design and ceramics and photography, I was like, this is what I really want to do. This is amazing. And there was so many different people from different backgrounds, different ages. Yeah, I think that's where I really maybe grew up a bit. Uh, Maybe surprised myself at what I could do. And then I got excited about everything. And that was like, whatever I do with my life, as long as I have something to do with the creative industries, I'll be a happy person.
fantastic.
Um,
And that's
so yeah, Scottish TV was great. Um, and I kind of, yeah, after having studied graphic design, um, I didn't realize that TV and film was something that was available because it was
yeah,
never something you did at school. At art college, there was a degree in film and television, but it maybe wasn't for someone from my background, or maybe it was for people from a slightly more affluent background because it's an expensive course to do.
yeah,
So when I got to Scottish TV, I was like, I'm not going to let this slip. This is an opportunity to make things move. And definitely going from directing typography and colors and shapes into directing people over time, that became quite a natural thing. And yeah, definitely getting involved with local bands and making music videos. Like I said, some of them good, some of them not so good. Do your 10,000 hours before you get good at something, right? But that definitely gave me the confidence to then think about, well, I want to make, I made a lot of dance films. That was my thing, working with choreographers to make dance films. But the people I met during that kind of, I brought into making TV commercials and corporate films, and people I met, you know, good sound recordists, good camera operators, good producers I brought into making the artwork I was making. So over the years, I built up a really good group of people around me. Always surround yourself with good people because they make you look good.
yeah. No, great
Yeah.
advice. Absolutely
Because you
fantastic.
can't do everything, and things that you can do, there's always someone that's better than you at it. So recognizing that is a good thing. Um, and then the freelance life, yeah, there's nothing like being used to a paycheck and then going freelance and looking at that and going, hold on, I've got to earn this all myself. I've got to go and find this work. So it's quite good frightening yourself. And after a few months, you find a rhythm. And sometimes you have really, really busy months where you think, this is amazing. I'm going to be okay forever. And then you don't work for 2 months and you think, well, technically I'm unemployed, but maybe I should just read a book and read the camera manual and do something else. So freelance can be a real roller coaster, but it's amazing. And like I think there's jobs that I did as a freelancer. I remember sitting on a hillside on the island of Canna in the Western Isles, and I was working with a group of 10 singers, and they're all dressed as birds singing in the sea. And I was filming them for the Commonwealth Games for a project. I was like, this is mad, but
I mean,
I'm
that
going
is
to die happy having worked on this. This is what I wanted to do. Um, yeah. And then, there's people that I met at Scottish TV who were juniors like I were, that were PAs, that now I'm working with at Postcode Lottery 20 years on. And they wanted me to work with them because they trusted me and they knew that they could trust their brand with me, and
Mhm.
I wanted to join them because I like them and I like being with them and it's fun. So over the years, you start to find your people and the people that you want to spend time with. Because if you're going to spend every day working on something, you want it to be around people you like and nice people.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, I've tried a bit of everything, and now I'm in a position, fortunately, at my age and stage where, yeah, like I said, I'm more kind of putting people on the right jobs, picking the right folk to work on the right things, and working on things that I never thought I'd be involved with, like social media,
Mhm.
organic and paid social media, and like bringing my experience to that, not in front of the camera, but behind the camera and kind of making that work for other people. So yeah, weirdly, it never felt like a strange journey, but a lot of folk have said, well, that's quite wild, the amount of stuff that you've worked on,
Yeah.
both in and out of house. And I think sometimes in-house teams, they get, well, maybe you feel frowned upon or looked down upon because you are a bit more comfortable because you've got a salary and you're in the business. But I think there's nothing like that's it's almost like the most creative place because especially at Postcode Lottery, we've got Red, we've got our doors, we've got the theme tune, we've got our ambassadors, but having to think about new ideas to make that fresh and different week in, week out, that's kind of more creative than coming up with brand new ideas every week because you're kind of making slight adjustments rather than reinventing it. You're evolving it, and that's quite a thing to be trusted with. So yeah, it's a good place to be. There are other places that do it, but I definitely consider both.
Oh, fascinating. No, and it actually sounds like throughout the whole of your career, like you've kept a very open mind. You've never pigeonholed yourself into something specific. Graphic design, you self-taught yourself film and TV, equipment, that's completely self-teaching. You moved from freelance to employment to freelance to employment. That it sounds like you have consistently kept an open mind and therefore the opportunities have presented themselves. Would you say that that is what's happened?
Yeah, I think teaching myself camera work was that my curiosity was like I had to feed that and see if that was something I could do. And a lot of the projects I wanted to work on, I would go to what was then the Film Council, and they'd say, actually, I think that's more for Creative Scotland as an artist. And I'd go to them and I think, maybe that's more a commercial idea. So I was getting kind of pinged around all these different institutions, and I was like, no, I've just got to do this myself. And I've got to do it with my pal who wants to write music, and I've got to do it with my pal who wants to write a script. And so we just spent a few years working at Scottish TV and doing the day-to-day work, but just thinking we've got the time and energy. If we're ever going to change what we're doing, we're going to have to do it as a group.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to realize that those creative projects you have yourself, they're not hobbies and they can go somewhere and they can become your main career in the end. And just to keep the passion and keep believing that that is something worthwhile because a lot of the dance films that I made would go into festivals. And yeah, I'm not the most confident, outgoing person that when you go to openings and Q&As and things like that. But it'd be really strange when you'd have a screening and then it'd be 6 months later and maybe a year later where someone would email you and go, ah, that film I saw at that festival. Can you come and do something like that for us? And be like, all right, so someone saw that. Someone was in the audience and kept me in mind for that. That's brilliant. And that led to things like working on the Commonwealth Games and uh, working on projects that were linked to the Olympics and sports projects and other dance projects and working with Scottish Ballet and the National Galleries. And you're like, all right, I never thought I'd go on to doing things like this just by keeping those passion projects going. So yeah, I was just curious to see if I could do it
And that
and not, I think, yeah, not stay within my comfort zone. And I think I could have, that lazy part of me could have done that, but I kind of fought against the lazy side.
Yeah, which is something I do think that everyone should
Yeah.
do in all aspects of life in a
Get
way.
out of your village.
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to, starting your career, surely curiosity is kind of the thing that will set you out, set you apart
Yeah.
from all the other people anyway. So,
And all those people that you look at that you kind of have done well, I mean, they're just people.
yeah.
And, you know, they've read the same books and seen the same films and have access to the same things. So it's all kind of possible.
So, Daniel, we have actually run out of time, but
Oh,
I'm going to
really?
make a little extension of a couple of minutes.
Okay.
What is your key piece of advice for someone who is looking at doing a creative job, but maybe, you want to broaden their minds and be like, don't think linear, People's Postcode Lottery being a really good example of a company you wouldn't necessarily think of as creative, but has lots of creativity in it. What is your advice to someone who would want to kind of explore that as an option?
I wrote down some things. Okay. Do a foundation course. If you get the opportunity, best thing, do as much work experience as possible. I worked in the next village from me, they made holograms. Who knew? So I went and did a week there. I went to Leicester de Montfort Hall and watched them set up for a band because I loved lighting and sound. I went to Central TV, a TV studio, and just got my hands dirty and watched and chatted to people, even if it's for an afternoon or a day, just write to folk, go and visit them, just say, I want to know what it's like to but how does a design studio operate? How does a film crew work? Because if you're interested, like me, I'm interested in people that are interested. Um, Learn how to drive. I know it's expensive and difficult now, but if there's two people and they both want to do the same thing, man, you're going to pick the person that can drive. I want to be driven. I don't want to be driving people anymore. It's amazing how many people can't drive. And I know it's hard, but yeah, that's a definite thing to do. Learn how to make a good cup of tea. Be curious and invest in your curiosities. Collaborate with people, work with your friends. I think my A levels, like I said, I did okay. The best thing I did was get involved in the school review and wrote comedy sketches until they were at least a little bit funny. And I directed that school review. And looking back, I mean, basically walking around shouting at people, saying things aren't funny enough. That's what I do now. Who knew?
That's brilliant.
Read books, makes you an interesting person. There you go.
I mean, some great bits of wisdom there. Fantastic. Well, Daniel, thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you talk. I definitely think it's made me more understanding of, the creativity that goes on in other industries and kind of companies, like I say, that you wouldn't necessarily think of as creative, but also fascinating to hear your background. Very, lots of things going on there and lots of bits of advice for
Well, I
all.
hope it made sense. That's a good
It
thing.
absolutely made sense. Well, thank you so much, Daniel.